Hi, I'm Gemma Montgomery and welcome to the Excel with Ease podcast, bringing together service-based business owners in the aesthetic, beauty, medical health and wellness sector. Here we discuss different topics that will help you grow your business with ease while supporting your ultimate life vision. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode where I'm coming to you from another absolutely glorious dog walk. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, blue skies. We've had terrible weather up here on the North York Moors over this past week, just torrential rain. So I'm on a muddy walk, but feeling okay because it's nice, bright blue skies. So this week we're still on the subject of money, following on from last week, but this week we're going to be focusing more on the logical, practical side of managing our finances and looking at our profit margins within our business. Now, I have to state, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a financial advisor, so obviously please be aware of that. What I'm actually doing is just passing on things that I've learned, that I've discovered, that have helped me in my business increase my profits, my overall bottom line, and be able to make smarter decisions, logical decisions from an informed place. So I just had to say that, obviously, before we get going. So last week, we looked at the way that we think about money. We looked at our mindset around money, how our experiences literally from a child up to where we are now form our belief system around money, and how we need to kind of question whether these beliefs that we hold are true, and how we need to kind of recognise how these experiences are formed, or beliefs that are passed down from our parents, from our friends, from our teachers, from our work colleagues, from our caregivers, how these thoughts and beliefs tend to shape our reality. So go back and have a listen to that if you haven't, because that really underpins everything. You know, a lot of this work that we do is energy-based, it's thought-based, it's mindset-based. So that really is key at looking at those kind of things. So this week, let's look at the real sort of black and white stuff, the logical stuff, the practical stuff, and how we can manage our money better within our businesses, and how we can make smart, informed decisions going forward in whichever way that we're heading. So everybody's definition of success is completely independent to them. Some people might want a fancy mansion, lots of handbags, that kind of stuff. And other people's definition might be completely different. It might be that you just want balance, as in more time to do the things that you want to do, more time to get out and experience nature, to do the hobbies, to spend time with family and friends, with your pets. It's just completely different to everybody. What I think the overall aim is for us all is we don't want to be in survival mode. We don't want to be constantly stressed and worried about where the next penny is coming from. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. So while our definition of success is completely unique to us, I think none of us want to be in survival mode, worrying, stressing, because we don't produce our best work when we're in survival mode. We just can't see the opportunities that are around us that we might be missing. And I always say to everybody, building a business takes a lot of our energy in terms of physical energy, mental energy, but there is a whole life to be lived at the same time. And what we don't want to do is get 20 years on and realise that we've actually missed the point of all this, and we've missed the point of experiencing what wonderful things this world has to offer. I know there's a lot of shit, pardon my French, going on in the world at the minute. You know, we put on the news, we see awful things, we go on social media, we see awful things, but there's a lot of goodness in this world if you just stop and look around. I'm stood talking to you now. I'm on the North York Moors. Literally, it's a blue sky. The sun's shining. The pine trees are just here in abundance. The heather. Mabel's having a little wander around. I'm breathing. Just really look around and don't get so caught up in the rat race and in all this lack mentality that social media and the news and everything else wants to present to you, because there's no lack in nature. There's no rush. Yeah, the trees look bare now, but that's fine. They're shedding the old, making way for the new in spring, and nature doesn't rush. Nature is all about patience. And I know I'm going off piece a little bit here, but I really got into my gardening a few years ago, and that really highlighted to me how impatient I can be, how I want to force things, how I want to control the outcome. I planted tomato seeds and I was growing roses. And I was stressing and worrying. I kept looking. Is it going to happen? Have I done something wrong? And the more I kind of learned to let go, the more they just came on amazingly and just did their own thing and bloomed. And it was like, actually, yeah, Gemma, just get out of your own way, get out of everybody else's way, and just let things be and let nature do its thing. So I think we can take a lot of advice from nature, really, when we look and just let ourselves be. Things do tend to flourish a little bit more. So how can we apply this to the logical side of our business? So the problem is, I've done it myself when I first started out. I see it with people that come through the training academy. I've seen it with colleagues that are in this kind of business. People take on a new treatment, and what they do is they straight away look around at other clinics and look around at how much other people are charging. Now, why this is so detrimental is you have no idea what that other clinic owner's goals are. You have no idea, as was discussed last week, what their beliefs are around money, what their experiences are around money. You have no idea on the demographic of client that they treat, and you have no idea if they've got any financial education, and you have no idea how much they're actually making within their business and whether that would be applicable to the goals and the lifestyle and the balance that you would like to achieve. So you can never, ever base your prices around what everybody else is doing. Now, you might be sat there listening thinking, well, that's all right, Gemma, you saying that, but other people, customers, are going to look around at what everybody else is charging, and why are they going to go to me? So I'm going to get a little bit woo-woo with you here, but I want you to try and get all that out of your mind and just really trust, mate, that none of that matters, because we're all energy and we're all attracting different things that are way beyond our control. So all that matters is your internal things, your internal beliefs, your definition of success and what you want to achieve from your business. So get out of the habit of looking around. Don't look at what anybody else is doing on social media. I don't follow anybody else that does what I do on social media, apart from supporting the people that I've brought through the academy. I'm not interested. It keeps me distracted, it takes me out of my own lane, and it can also make me start to doubt myself, question myself. So why do that to myself? I'm not interested. All I'm bothered about is that I attract the right kind of clients for me, that suit me, that are aligned to me is probably the right word, through my clinic doors. I do. I can more or less say now, 98, 95% of the time, everybody that comes through my door is completely aligned with me, completely aligned with my belief system. And I mean, I don't tempt fate, but touch wood, I don't get any red flag clients nowadays. Well, it's pretty much zero. I'm not saying there'll never be one that kind of slips through, but on the whole, it's not something I have to deal with now, because I'm so locked in on who I treat, what I'm about, working on my internal, and that is the key to everything. So just get that out of your head of what everybody else is doing whilst we're talking about the logical things to do with pricing, if you can. So what you need to be aware of within your business are, what are your fixed business costs? So fixed business costs are things that don't change. They have to be paid no matter what for your business to run. Yeah, the fixed business costs might change, as in things might go up, but paying for them really never changes. So we're talking about things like rent, or if you've got a mortgage on the building, staff costs, software system costs, subscription costs, insurances. I don't have to go through them all, but you kind of get the picture that these are all your fixed business costs that you have to pay no matter what. It might be more if you've got a lot of different locations. It might be a lot less if you've got a clinic that's based in your home grounds or something like that. But no matter what, that is your fixed business cost. So obviously you can work that out annually. You can break that down into what that would be monthly. And that is just for your business to run. So that's really important. And then obviously you have the cost of the materials that you buy in. So you've got the product costs of, say, for instance, in my line of work, the Botox that you're going to be using, the dermal fillers that you're going to be using, the peels that you're going to be using, anything that you can think of that you're going to administer in clinic comes at a cost, doesn't it? And then on top of that, you've also got your consumables. So every time you do a treatment, you're opening a dressing pack, you're popping on a pair of gloves, you're using needles, you've got, obviously, within your fixed business costs, your waste disposal and things like that. But consumables do add up more than you think. So they're kind of your main costs, really, for your business to pretty much kind of function before you even think about taking profits out of your business. And then depending on how your company is structured, you might be a sole trader, you might be limited. Obviously, you've got to think about tax costs, accountancy costs, all that stuff, which again are going to come in. The accountancy is going to come in more as a fixed cost, and tax is going to change relative to obviously how much your kind of net profits are and things like that, but it's still obviously a cost. So that's the kind of overall thing to be aware of. But how do we break that down into each individual treatment that we do? Because what we need to know is how much profit margin is in each treatment that I perform once all those costs that I've just discussed are taken off. We don't want to really be dipping below 50%. So we can literally take every treatment that we do and we can, in finite detail, literally break that down, taking all those other costs into account. Now, you also need to be aware of how long does each treatment take to do, because that affects the overall profitability. So if you're doing something that's taking an hour and a half, that's taking up quite a lot of your time. So the time factor is also going to impact on your kind of overall profit margins. So another point obviously to take into account as well with the fixed business costs is, no matter what you're doing, you can even break that down into a day. So it could be something like, right, before I even take into account consumables, before I take into account products, just for me to operate my business, you might need to be pulling in, I might need £400 a day, £300 a day, whatever, just to cover the costs. So logical things, but why we need to know these logical things is it helps us make really accurate decisions in the best possible way going forward. So it might be that you want to start outsourcing certain tasks, or hopefully you'll want to start doing that. So it might be that you want help with social media, which is a full-time job. It might be that you need certain admin tasks delegating. You might need help with websites. You might want to take on a new injector, a beautician, laser technician, anything at all. You need to know the numbers, because you need to know realistically, can I do this? And at what cost can I afford to do this at? So this is why the numbers are so important, because if you're just going on guesswork, or you think, yeah, it's okay, I can do that, looking at that, the reality can hit sometimes that it's not what you think. And although I, do preach this information myself, as you know, from when I teamed up with the training academy, I wasn't quite as on the ball with all this, because the clinic takes up so much time as well. We formed a business partnership together, and we had to part ways. And this was mainly because of not having this stuff really nailed down. So I don't want you to get into any tricky situations, anything to turn nasty with anybody that you might be considering taking on, that you have to let go. So really get to grips with this. So how I can help with this is we have on the Training Academy website a free profit calculator that you can download to work all this stuff out. So it's all done for you. But what you do need to know is you need to sit with a pen and paper initially, and you need to basically know every treatment that you perform in the clinic, what that cost of that specific treatment is. This is obviously not taking into account consumables and your fixed business costs, just what you obviously retail that treatment for, what it costs, how long it takes. And then once you've got all that information, you can really sort of start to make your way through the profit calculator just to see where you're at with those numbers. Now, it walks you through everything step to step, step by step. Dawn, who was my previous partner, she made the videos that go with the profit calculator. The calculator's had amazing feedback. The calculator is completely free, so you'll find it on the Training Academy website. I will link it as well under these show notes. But honestly, I can't encourage you enough just to really know these numbers for a strong foundation going forward. It's so important, and it builds on top of all the other stuff that I talked about the week before, which was the money mindset, all the work around the inner work that we do as well. So very short and sweet this week, but it just flows on nicely from the last episode that I did. So as I said, the free profit calculator will be linked in the show notes below. And also as well, you'll see on the Academy website, we've also got lots of just digital products, little digital masterclasses, which I'm going to be building on as well going forward in January. And do jump over to TikTok. I do have to say, I'm going to do an episode on this next week, but all my socials have been hacked. So I no longer have my clinic socials on Instagram. I don't have my Training Academy socials. I'm actually due to speak to the police this afternoon, but I'm going to talk you through all this on the next episode. But TikTok is slowly building. We've just got up and running with that in the last 8 weeks. So jump over to TikTok, Timeless Training Academy. You'll find us over on there. And also over on YouTube as well, which in January 26th, we're going to start building as well. So yeah, so take care, have a lovely day, and I hope the free profit calculator helps. And I shall see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you discovered some useful tips and takeaways. Don't forget to please rate, review and subscribe. And as always, pass on to a friend who you think will find this podcast super useful.